Hey everybody, this is D Hunter, bringing another action figure review. Today, we're going to look at the McFarlane DC Multiverse McFarlane Collector's Edition Wave 1 Abyss. And not only that, but this is the Platinum Chase variant. This guy has a white hood and cape, as well as some red parts all over his armor. I want to give a huge shout to my boy Nicholas from Instagram. He messaged me, said he found the Platinum Abyss he heard I was looking for, but unfortunately he was in Canada, so it cost me a little bit extra to import, but still, a very reasonable price to say the least. So let's go ahead and take a look at the packaging. As you can see at the top, 22 moving parts, McFarlane Toys, ages 12 plus, DC Multiverse, the Abyss, and this is the Platinum Edition, part of the McFarlane Collector's Edition. Here he is in the package. He has a Sith, a display stand, a collector's card, and a display stand for the collector's card. One side of the package, McFarlane Collector's Edition Abyss from Batman vs. Abyss. Other side, somebody says Abyss. This is the third figure in the Collector's Edition subline. At the bottom, got a bunch of credits, and there's his barcode, in case that helps anybody. But this is going to be the exact same barcode as the standard version of Abyss. On the back, here he is, posed up from a comic cover. So no further ado, let's open him up. Here's the Platinum Chase variant on the left. Next to the standard version of Abyss on the right. Happy to have them both. Alright, now that this figure out of the package, here he is with all his accessories laid out. He comes with a display stand, a collector's card, a display stand for his collector's card, one alternate hand totaling 3 hands, and then his Sith. But before we take a look at all that, let's talk about and check out the actual figure. So this is the Abyss. He's very similar to Batman in some ways, and very different. As he grew up, he was sort of a crime fighter, but he was very brutal against the criminals. He always admired Batman and kind of wanted to be like him. Eventually his dream came true when Lex Luthor funded and trained him, but also sort of controlled and manipulated him. Now this is the Platinum Chase variant. He's repainted in sort of a red and black and white color scheme. Kind of reminds you of Marvel's Taskmaster. So let's take a look. I'll start with his head here. He's got this hood covering up a pretty much blank face. It has 2 X's here, which remind me of the Suicide Squad. He has, I don't know, gas mask or some kind of breathing apparatus. The hood is separate from the cape, which is going to allow for a lot of articulation there. His cape, kind of short, a little bit frayed. You can see the holes in it. Nice bit of texturing if you look close at the cape. And the same with this outfit. You can see the texturing underneath the sort of ribbed armor at the front. It looks really good. Now his torso seems a bit long. It's been a complaint I've seen about this guy, and it is visually kind of weird looking. It's not supposed to be that way, I don't believe. Double jointed elbows. Looks like a single jointed knee. When I say it's not supposed to be like that, I mean it's not like Scarecrow, some big lanky sort of distorted type figure. This guy's supposed to have normal proportions. Either way, pretty cool, and really cool to add another Batman Rogue to the mix, and a paint variant at that. And a closer look at his head and face sculpt. And here's the figure, broken down as far as he can go, with all of his removable parts detached. Now let's check out his accessories. Let's start off with the boring stuff. Here's a display stand. Typical McFarlane display stand. Only difference, this one has DC and sort of silver paint at the bottom. It's flat, it's basic. Now let's check out his collector's card. This is a replica of the cover of Batman number 120 from the Rebirth comics. And just so happens, I have this comic right here. I started reading it before doing this video. A little bit confusing. I'm going to have to go back, start a little bit earlier, and go a little bit further than this. Very interesting. I love the different Batman Incorporated characters. Batman number 120. You can see we have Abyss on the front here, and it looks like some Batman Incorporated members behind him. Here's another Batman issue, number 119, Batman vs. Abyss. You see Abyss here, just like the figure fighting Batman. And if you wanted to read the back of the collector's card, here you go. Here's the Platinum Chase variant collector's card of Abyss on the left, next to the original version on the right. Exactly the same. They should make something at least a little bit different, even if it's just sort of the color of the McFarlane Collector's Edition on the side. And he has a display stand for the collector's card. Doesn't do much for me, but if you want to display it next to a figure like this, here you go. Now let's check out his hands. He has a total of 3 of them, and he should have come with 4. He has two gripping hands to hold his weapon, and that's fantastic. But then he has one sort of open hand. Should have had two of those. They would look pretty creepy and good on him, I think. Here he is with the gripping hands. These will hold his weapon. And then with his extra left hand, sort of open, claw-like hand, I think he would look good with two of these. Now let's look at his Sith. It's a double-edged Sith, and that's pretty cool. You can see the blade here. It's silver. Has a little bit of sort of scratches on it, like it's been through some stuff. You can see some sculpted detail on the handle, and the exact same thing on the other side. Now you have the option of having the weapon just like this, or you can separate it into two different weapons. Here's Abyss, holding his Sith. He can hold it as one weapon, or as two. Here's the Platinum Chase variant Sith on the top, next to the original version on the bottom. It is a different paint job on both the handle and the blade. Now I wanted to check out the differences between this Platinum Chase variant of Abyss and the original. Besides the obvious paint differences, there are no differences. It's 100% the same figure, same sculpt, same articulation, so let's take a look. Starting with their faces, they both have those X's. This one has sort of like a blue or purple tint inside the hood, and at the bottom of the sort of gas mask, he has red, same places. The hood is white, almost black. Let's go further down. A little bit darker, glossy black here. It's almost a gray here in the middle. He's got these red highlights all over his arm. On the inside of his cape, it's red. This one here, sort of that light purple. This guy is very visually interesting, but I'm not sure what exactly he's from. I don't know if they just sort of made it up. Doesn't exactly look like anything from the comics that I've seen, but they're both really cool. I think this one visually looks better, but this one's more accurate. Hard to tell which one I like better. Now I've taken a pretty good look at both the figure and his accessories. Now for his height. From bottom to the top of his hood, standing at about 7.3 inches tall, which can translate to 18.5 centimeters. Now for his articulation. Starting with his head. Now his head can move, and it can move separately from the hood, at least to a point. Hood can't move that much more than the head, but you can see they're two separate independent pieces. They're not glued. You can sort of pull it back and see what it looks like inside of here. Head can rotate around, forward and back, tilt, one side to the other. Shoulders, a ball joint goes out a little bit less than 90 degrees. Up, down, around, all that good stuff. Butterfly joint between his shoulder and chest, increasing the range of motion and covering a large gap that would be there. Bicep cut below that. Double jointed elbows, they go all the way in. His wrist can rotate and it's going to be hinged. Ball joint his torso, rotate around, forward and back. Another one is waist, rotate around, forward and back. He's got this sort of soft goods on top of the diaper area here. Works pretty well. Legs, completely does splits, not a ball joint, McFarlane style hip joints. Rotation's non-existent. You go forward about that much, back not much at all. He does have double jointed knees, and they're hidden very nicely. I can see the pin in the bottom, but not in the top. I don't know if they're trying something new there. And then his ankle, forward and back, rotate, tilt, rock, although not want to budge too much. And of course, to articulation. Here's an image of Abyss on a rooftop in the moonlight of Gotham City. Abyss versus Batman, just like in the comics. Here's Lex Luthor in his office at LexCorp. He's manipulating things behind the scenes. I don't really know all the circumstances, but somehow Lex Luthor is funding Batman Incorporated. There's actually Lex Luthor in sort of an armored bat suit in the comics. I'm surprised McFarlane hasn't made that yet. Meanwhile, in the Batcave, Batman is confronted by other members of Batman Incorporated. We have the Man of Bats, the Hood, the Batman of China, El Guacho, and Dark Ranger. This is where he finds out that they're working for Abyss. Lex Luthor has manipulated this entire thing, and Abyss invites Batman to join him to kill Lex Luthor, showing him that he's the hero he really should be, taking out a villain like Lex Luthor. But of course, not everything is like it seems. And that's supposed to be sort of a reenactment of this comic panel. And here's a look at both versions of Abyss on a Gotham rooftop under the moonlight. Now let's check them out next to some other action figures. Starting off with some other Batman Incorporated figures. Here's Abyss next to the DC Direct Knight and a custom-made Squire. Knight was the Batman of England, and Squire was more or less his Robin. He was in the original version of Batman Incorporated about 10 years ago. He died since then, and I believe Squire is actually taken over as Knight in the new Batman Incorporated. And here he is, next to a DC Direct, the Man of Bats. And here, next to a custom version of the Batman of China. And here he is, next to a custom version of the Hood. Then, next to a custom El Guacho. Here's the Abyss, next to a Batman Incorporated Batwing. This is the David version of Batwing. He was only active at the very beginning of Batman Incorporated about 10 years ago. And now, next to Ghostmaker. Ghostmaker is a member of Batman Incorporated in the modern team. He's a brand new Bat character, a Batman ally. So, Abyss, a new Batman enemy, and then Ghostmaker, a new Batman ally, both from the modern Rebirth comics, both from the Batman Incorporated storylines. Both really cool figures. Here's my entire Batman Incorporated display. A ton of different figures, custom figures, figure substitutes. They all sort of resemble Batman or different sort of Bat characters. Can be used as different members of Batman all over the world. There's something about Abyss that just totally reminds me of the Batman villain Phantasm. Here he is, next to both a custom Phantasm I made, and then the DC Direct Batman the Animated Series Phantasm figure. He also reminds me of the Reaper, which I believe the Phantasm was based off of. Now let's check him out, next to some other McFarlane DC Multiverse figures. Here he is, next to several different McFarlane Batman figures. Some small, some big, that's just McFarlane. It looks like Abyss here is a little bit on the larger side of things. He's going to fit in pretty good with your Hush Batman and some of the larger McFarlane figures. Here's Abyss, next to 3 different McFarlane Lex Luthor figures, and I'm surprised McFarlane didn't make the Lex Luthor in the armored batsuit. That's from this same story of Batman vs. Abyss. Abyss has some strong ties to Lex Luthor, as Lex Luthor funded, trained, and pretty much enabled him to become a supervillain. Now let's check him out, next to some other recently released McFarlane DC Multiverse figures. Now this is the only figure I have so far for McFarlane's Collector's Edition or whatever it's called. I have the other figures on the way. A bundle for the McFarlane Toy Store, Superman, Green Lantern, and Abyss. Now, I found out there are Platinum Chasers of all 3 of these figures. If anybody out there happens to get one, and you're not interested, holler your boy, D Hunter. I would be very, very appreciative if anybody can help me out with that. I'm looking for 1 Superman, 1 Alan Scott Green Lantern, and of course, 2 Platinum Abyss figures. Fingers crossed I'll find one in the future. And here he is, next to the recent Dark Knight Trilogy, San Diego Comic-Con exclusive gold label figures. We have Bane with his coat, Joker as a bank robber thug, and then Joker as seen through the sonar vision. Then, next to some more San Diego Comic-Con exclusive figures, we have the 85th anniversary Superman, the 30th anniversary Nightfall Batman, the Page Puncher sketch Mr. Freeze, and the Dark Knight's Metal Alan Scott Dread Lantern. Then, next to the Blue Beetle movie wave, we've got the regular Blue Beetle, the Battle Mode Blue Beetle, and Carapace. And now, with some McFarlane Toys Store exclusive figures, we have Superman as Unchained Armor, the Patina variant, Catman, Dick Grayson Robin, and Kyle Rayner Blue Lantern. Next, let's check them out with some Target exclusive gold label figures. Here's Abyss, next to Superman vs. Doomsday 2-pack. And here he is, next to some Target exclusive Jokerized figures. Then, with even more Target exclusive figures, we have the Sinestro Corps Batman, Ted Corps Blue Beetle, Flash War Impulse, and Deadman. And now, with the Target exclusive Flashpoint Wave, Flashpoint Aquaman, Project Superman, and Flash himself. Here's Abyss, next to the Injustice 2 3-pack, Batman, Supergirl, and Dr. Fate. And here he is, with some recent Walmart exclusive gold label figures. We have the Vampire Joker, Batman and Superman, Captain Atom, Beast Boy, and Eradicator. Then, next to the goofy head sculpt Rebirth Superman vs. Ultraman 2-pack. And now, next to the most recent Batman wave, we have the Nightfall Batman, the Batman Incorporated Batwing, and the Batman Reborn Two-Faces Batman. Here's Abyss, next to the Big Bad Toy Store exclusive black and white accent Superman and Flash. And here he is, next to the 5th wave of page punchers. This is a Batman-themed wave, fighting the Frozen. We have Batman, Robin, Batgirl, and Mr. Freeze. There's a Platinum Chase variant of Batgirl out there. I'm on the hunt for her. If anybody knows where I can get one, drop me a line in the comments below. And finally, next to the most recent Build-A-Figure wave, this is the Titans wave, Collective Build Beast Boy. Now let's check him out, next to some action figures from different various companies, so we can see how he fits in both scale and style-wise, in case you don't know which lines you can mix him with. Since he's a McFarlane toy, they're typically the 7-inch scale. I'm going to start off my comparisons with some of the larger action figure lines I collect, and work way smaller. But first, let's check him out with some of his McFarlane Toys brothers. In front of you are 5 different action figure lines, all from McFarlane Toys, all 7-inch scale. Then, with some more McFarlane Toys, these are from different various video game properties. And now, with some Jack-specific wrestling figures, here's the Abyss, next to a canister of Parmesan cheese. And here he is, next to some DST or Devon Select toys. Then, with some DC Direct and DC Collectibles figures. And here he is, standing with some NECA figures. Then, with some Mattel wrestling figures. And now, with some Jazzwares AEW wrestlers. And here he is, next to some Mezco 112 collective figures. Then, with some Mattel DC Universe Classics and Multiverse figures. And here he is, with some Mafex figures. Then, with some Hasbro Marvel Legends. And here he is, next to some SH Figure Arts action figures. And finally, next to some Jazzwares 4. So overall, this Abyss is a pretty cool figure. Now this Platinum Chase variant, I think visually he looks better than the other one, but the other one is more comic accurate. So I may like the way this one looks better, but I'm going to be using the other one as my main Abyss. I really like getting these obscure Batman villains. That is right up my alley. New characters, never made before. That is the kind of stuff I'm looking for. His articulation is good, but a little bit limited in a couple areas. His accessories, very cool. I like the 2 different display options. The hands, I think it's really annoying he didn't come with 4 of them. Sculpt, paint job are excellent. No issues there. So, if I were to rate the original Abyss, say like a 7.5, then I would say this one deserves exactly the same rating, but for different reasons. I think it looks better, but is less accurate, and they're both very nice figures. So this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked the video, press like below. If you have anything you want to say about the video, add it to the comment section. If you want to see additional action figure reviews from me, press subscribe. I do appreciate when you do that. Once again, this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll talk to you guys real soon.